Broadcast. Hey everyone, just swapping again from YouTube to Periscope. Ask me later. I'm just dropping the Periscope link into our people that are waiting in the live chat on YouTube. I am sorry. It just doesn't work when we want it to. Looks like we're good. Looks like you joined, Daniel, so that's good as well. Hey,
Yes.
this is the 365 Message Center show. Today on the show, we're going to be looking at, there's some high confidence phishing email, spam filter policy stuff. I've taken a good look at Microsoft Search and Q&As, so that's a good thing to look at. And our headline for today is the Teams Outlook email integration. Roll it. Good now, right now, wherever and whenever you are. This is Darrell as a service, and as always, joined by
Daniel Glenn. Hello, everyone. Glad to have you with us.
Yeah, it is definitely good to be here.
hmm
How about you tell us a bit about what you're up to, Daniel? I'm going to grab that Periscope link again and send it through so we can redirect our rebrandly link.
Already did it.
Oh,
Done.
you have.
So I will, though, talk about what's going on today. Is we're approaching the holiday season where we celebrate things like Christmas and Hanukkah and various others. But things have been going on. I did some travel last week, as you know, we did the show live from Chicago. I was from Chicago. So I think this is going pretty well. How about you? How's Monday going for you? Or Tuesday? Sorry,
It's
Tuesday for
Tuesday.
you. Yeah,
Tuesday today, we're having I guess a team building, team finish the year off day.
awesome.
Not only that, we're pulling the team together across a number of different disciplines, and we're going to actually be sitting together on the same floor now. So it's
Oh
moving
wow.
day too.
Okay, that's awesome. I think that's great. I think, can I take a moment now, Darrell? I think would be a great time to say we also want to thank our sponsors. Our show sponsor for this episode is Valo Internet.
Thanks again, Valo, for your support. And look, do take some time regarding 365 people and followers to check out their products. It's really awesome how they're branching out to not just intranet stuff, but knowledge management and really helping you collaborate.
Mhm.
Daniel, we do have a few messages to get through, and since I've got my new laptop, I've been trying to set up the old scenes again. Yeah, that really nice one we had with a message in the middle of us.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, let's take a quick look first of all at the messages that we do have, our
Okay.
lay of the land. That could have been better. Let's expand that one out. That's better. Now we can see them. So about nine messages.
Few. Mhm.
And is there one in there which is also an update, letting people know that something's changed to the original message?
There's several actually that are kind of, hey, we said this previously, keep this in mind. So it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting for this week.
Yeah, definitely. We'll just have a quick look at this first one here. I know last week we tried to have a go at ordering these messages by message ID, which that's logical, and it also means that anything that's older and has been updated is going to should be at the bottom of the list. But it seemed that we had some differences, and I think that's a key thing to note. Yet another sign that, to some extent, our message centers are different because we have different people, different messages, different content.
Different content. That's right.
That's right. So let's get into it. The first one we have on my list, at least. I get to say that because I'm the one displaying my screen.
That's right. No, this is good.
Yep. The Clutter for Outlook retirement update. Now, Clutter was what we had. I think I'm going back to about 2014 is when, or 2015ish is when it was released. That was the original thing that tried to help us with AI to get our mailboxes under control. But the AI would push the messages to a separate folder. Now this is what we have now today is focused view and other view, and in Clutter world, other was the clutter folder. Do you remember much about that, Daniel?
Yes, and I think Clutter was that, like you said, kind of AI, the start of AI, of trying to decide whether or not messages that made it through your spam filter were actually messages that you wanted. And so it was kind of in between the spam and your inbox. And it was, Google has something similar with their consumer product where it was, I think they have like a promotions tab or something like that. And I think it's kind of the same vein. But the people I heard from about, I don't like Clutter, is because it's yet another place I have to check, right? Because you got your spam, you got your quarantine, which is your, the kind of initial place that email comes in your tenant in Office 365, and then you've got spam, and then you've got Clutter, and then you've got inbox and focused inbox, right? So lots of things to look.
You could only have one or the other. So if you are choosing to use focused inbox, then Clutter's turned off. Now this message was going to be about retiring Clutter,
right?
And it was going to be beginning 31st of January 2020. So early in the new year. But it seems that some customers have really latched on to the way Clutter works, potentially because it's a separate folder and not just a view of your inbox. And that maybe gives you a lot more control over that. So they don't want to see Clutter disappear. Microsoft have updated this message to say that they can keep using it, but we're not going to develop it any further.
Right. Yeah, and that's just the important thing to remember, is that it's just not going to be updated any longer.
Now, I heard something similar to that. Another product, and perhaps more beloved, OneNote. Yeah, OneNote. We're not going to develop it any further. Let's just say that if there's enough of the community that do like Clutter, and that's the way you want to do it, voice your support, and maybe it will get further development.
Right.
Who knows? Let's keep moving on up. We've got
high confidence
phishing email.
Yeah, high confidence phishing email, MC19803 or 013. Sorry. This is just a reminder that, as communicated in a previous update, that the high confidence phishing email filter is going to be added to your policy by default, and that's going to be January 6th, 2020. So coming up pretty soon so that's going to be added by default. It is, the action is set to quarantine the message for all new and existing policies. So if you want to change this and you want to make sure that you want to modify this, then you should change that selection before January 6th. So
I see some more options to control that content when it comes in. So when it's high confidence, that's saying we definitely know this is a phishing email. We are highly confident, and so rather than passing this through to your junk mail folder and allowing end users to potentially make that decision for themselves. You're keeping it right out of their path. And this is really important for phishing. You don't want people bumping into that if they do go in and check their junk mail, and within 30 days and everything's still there, they might potentially click on that phishing email. So if you're highly confident, then the service is going to help you take care of that.
Mm-hmm. That is correct. And there was one other thing I wanted to say about this. Oh, have you seen the quarantine email lately?
To be honest, I don't get a lot of them.
You don't?
No, I don't. And in fact, I've got to say, I wish there was some way of quarantining all the offers, the random offers from different Gmail people to say, I'd like to help you with your SEO, and I've got web design skills.
Yeah.
Could we throw that in the highly confident phishing or
Sure you can.
Spam?
Sure you can. So the quarantine emails have changed, and I don't like them. I don't like. There's several other people that have told me they don't like them. We used to get this table formatted. Now it could have been cleaned up a little bit, and I agree with that. But there was separate links for things like release the message and add the sender, basically meaning this is a false positive, and I want email from now on to skip the quarantine. Well, that link's not there anymore. And in fact, when you go into quarantine, that link's still not there anymore. It's gone. You can't select a message and say, I want, this is a good message and a good sender. It won't let you do that anymore. That the email has become less helpful because of the removal of that link and another link that I've found pretty useful, but it's kind of similar. So just wanted to say, if you feel the same way, make sure you voice your opinion to Microsoft that the quarantine email needs to have some of the options back. But just wanted to mention that before we move on.
And where would people voice those opinions and concerns? It's usually user voice, isn't it? So this one I expect would be in the office365.uservoice.com.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That is correct.
Plan maintenance for Power BI. We don't usually talk too much about these messages. If you notice in this one, it is for Southeast Asia. So this is definitely my region. Did you have any maintenance for Power BI over your week?
No. Remember, we talked about this in a previous show. It was for the US, and it has already passed, and now you're getting it as well.
There you go. So again, another clue. It's mine. It's relevant to me, and I don't know. Like I looked at this and tried to figure out. It says plan maintenance, and it talks about being outside of business hours, and I was going, is it really? Maybe.
Well, they make a point of saying we try to keep it outside of office, but a lot of organizations are worldwide, and so sometimes you can't do that.
And based in Southeast Asia, that is Hong Kong and Singapore. Singapore for us, not necessarily Australia, where New Zealand's data centers are. So that's 6 hours away.
Right.
It's a bit harder to find that everyone is
that sweet spot.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Microsoft Search and a change to suggested Q&As. This is MC 197943. It's been a little while since I've taken a look at Microsoft Search, or some may know it as Bing for Business. But it is a lot more than that. Bing is just one place that you can see it. Microsoft Search is really starting to appear in lots of different places. And if you've been an Office insider, or you're on the targeted release, then you would have seen the Microsoft Search bar appear even in the Office applications at the top. So now it's a place to not only look for, what was it called? Tell me what you want to do. So you can go in there and say, I want to do a certain formula, or I want to change my signature, and it'll guide you through there. But you can go there and search for people, search for content, search for sites directly from your Office bar. So Microsoft Search is becoming quite central. And as it was said, I think about a year ago at the previous Ignite, it's arriving where you are and where you're working. But
Hmm.
do you know much about Q&As for Microsoft Search, Daniel?
I do know a little bit, and I think, for this update in particular, it's talking about Microsoft has in the past given you Q&As, suggested Q&As for you, and it's talking about retiring that. Microsoft has gotten feedback to say, hey, we're not going to do that anymore. And we're going to allow you, to only, for you to do that. So this is for this update in particular, it's talking about how, okay, if we do have suggested Q&As, maybe you need to go ahead and export those out so that you can, import those in for yourself. So for the Q&A feature, that's suggested, again, that's bringing in a little bit of AI, a little bit of knowledge, computer knowledge, so to suggest items for that are answers for what people are looking for.
Hmm. I came across a really good docs.microsoft.com article about setting up search and Q&A, Microsoft Search rather, and there's a good flow there through of guiding you to find knowledge and the way that people might search for content within your
Hmm.
organization. It's probably nothing new to knowledge managers. This is your bread and butter. You are subject matter experts of search.
Hmm.
But for someone who's just glancing through this, maybe you are a small to medium business and you don't have someone who specializes in knowledge management. Maybe we'll drop that link somewhere. Oh no, we'll put it in the blog post that I created ahead of time. We'll refer back to that.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's you may want to create your own. Well, you definitely should create your own Q&As based on some of the knowledge that or the questions that people do ask, and
Hmm.
therefore guide people through to not just the link that you want them to find, but giving them a brief explanation. Think of it like going to Google, searching for something, and you've got that kind of best bet at the top with a brief excerpt or explanation of what that page is about.
Hmm.
It's all about helping people find knowledge quickly.
That's right.
Actually, you know what it did show me?
What's that?
Like a lot of people, they have those high expectations of search and they go, oh, we should be able to just go here and it should give us the most relevant results, just like that. But we
Hmm.
all know that search engines have a lot of help from people who develop their SEO. Well,
Yeah.
this is how you do SEO, in a sense, for your organization. So take a look at optimizing Microsoft Search
Hmm.
with creating Q&As.
That's right.
Uh, we have an update to Microsoft Teams coming to existing installs for semi-annular channel customers. This
Yep.
is MC 198028. Adding Teams to your Office install is probably the short explanation of this. Um,
Yeah, and we talked about this a little bit initially when it
mm,
was announced. This is, remember, the way Teams now is done. It's not part of the Office. So if you go to office.com and you're part of the semi-annual channel, meaning you have decided that your Office update should be twice a year and not every month, then when I go and download Office, I go to office.com, log in with my Office 365 credentials. I click, download to or the install Office link in the top right. I don't get Teams. This is changing, of course, to now say we're going to, or I didn't get Teams in the past, but now I will be getting Teams delivered to me for existing installs that did that beforehand and didn't get Teams delivered as part of Office. Now I will be able to. They're coming back and saying, "Here's Teams for you now," since you didn't get it initially.
mm. Thinking back on a bit of that terminology when it was click to run Office installs
Hmm.
were a new thing. There was that term called slipstream. And I know
Hmm.
it's used in other ways of building drivers into computer builds and the like.
Hmm.
That we're looking at. I don't know if this is what they still call it, but slipstreaming that Microsoft Teams into your existing installs so that you don't have to depend on people downloading it themselves.
Right. That's right.
We covered off the date, didn't we? So starting in July 2019. Uh,
That is right. Beginning January
yeah.
14th
Yep.
there, and I'll be finishing up I mean, it depends on when the update happens, but
Mm,
it's coming next month. Um, but
yeah,
July of this year of 2019 is when it was making it part of it. So if you downloaded it
yeah,
before then that's when. That's
great.
Darrell. Can I just take a side note here? I've been
Yeah,
drinking out of this glass, and this glass is pretty awesome. It has the etching on it. Um,
something SQL. Yeah.
yep, it's Sequel Saturday for Nashville. So coming up in January 18th is the Sequel Saturday event. I help organize a little bit of it. Not I don't lead it, but I help organize a little bit of the stuff and just generally helping out when I can. I am also speaking at it. But if you go to sequelsatnash.com, so it's SQLSATNASH.com, you can see the event and register. It's free. You just pay for your lunch and come and see some fantastic content. I just wanted to mention that because I was drinking out of, and if you do attend, you will get a nice glass with etching of the logo and such. So there you go. I just wanted to mention that. Sorry for derailing us, but I just thought of it.
No, no problem, no problem. Hey, this next one's an interesting one, and at a glance, I got it mixed up with the Fluid UI framework, or I guess it's
Mhm.
not called framework, but all these great new UIs, app icons. We know that Yammer is also going to be. This is the first web-based application to use Fluid, but this is not Fluid. So I've just done an Irishman on you. Um, the Fluid framework is something different again. It is. It's actually. I would say that it's Gig Jam reborn. Do you remember Gig
Aha.
Jam?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So being able to it's collaboration in a different way on a document with a number of different activities that you might find in different products.
Mhm.
Creating task lists, creating documents, at mentioning people, creating all sorts of bits and pieces. Um, the Fluid Framework preview, MC198089, is kind
Mhm.
of becoming to English US environments only to begin with. It was announced in November 2019, so that it was Ignite, and it's going to start appearing in tenants in the first quarter of 2020. Have you taken a look at Fluid Preview?
I have not. I'll go ahead and say I've seen the demos. I've seen, what people are showed, at Ignite, and I've seen some demos, but I have not actually
Hmm.
used it myself.
I do have a demo I prepared earlier.
Oh,
And I
good.
know it is definitely preview. There's nothing sort of flashy about the UI. Although I will call out, if you take a close look at the fave icon in your tab, it is definitely a stylized different version of the Office icon, which I would say may be the Fluid UI um, framework or whatever you call it. Sorry, designers. Um, but yeah, here's Fluid, and this is a new document which actually lives. I've saved it in my OneDrive,
Mm.
and it is quite a collaborative block kind of way of creating content. This is just a text line, but I can add and mention people. We've got an action items list down here, which is also created in a table, adding dates, checklists, bullets, and numbered lists. Um, but it will, as we mention people from within a document, get their attention.
Yeah.
Uh,
And it's so I know developers are pretty excited about just being able to do some stuff here. We end users get functionality like this,
mm-hmm.
right? So this fluid is yes, there's a back end that is powering some of this to rejuvenating these apps and bringing this functionality. So Sebastian Lever in the chat is saying will be cool. So I agree. Having this capability, and it brings so much more capabilities to the apps. So Yammer, yes, but also working with all in within Office and such. It'll be fantastic.
So it is all considered fluid framework. It's not just the design. side of it, which we've all
Hmm.
seen
Right.
from that visible side of things, but it's also this experience here and a programming framework.
Hmm.
All right. Well, yeah, definitely take a look at that. And while I'm viewing this from Fluid Preview, from the preview site, I
Hmm.
believe that it's going to come in a greater capacity to US customers. So enjoy. I'll be a little jealous. I'll keep playing around with my little demo there, but maybe someone else can do a deeper dive on that.
Hmm.
Here's our headline for the week, and it's a big deal. A lot of people are really happy to see this because it's helping to bridge that gap in experience between working in Teams and of course continuing to work in Outlook. This is Teams Outlook email integrations.
Hmm.
Yes, because there's
Yes,
plural.
that's right.
MC198124. Take us through some of this list, Daniel. There's a couple of ones there that are definitely my favorites.
Yeah. So first off, we got share email to Teams. So if you have an email, being able to share it into Teams, share a copy of an email, and any attachments from Outlook to a channel or chat, that's a one-on-one chat. Share a conversation via email, so going the other way. Share a copy of Teams channel or chat conversation via email. That's from directly within Teams client. Reply to Teams missing activity emails, and I'll talk about that one in a second. I
Mm-hmm.
think that may be one of my favorites. An ability to respond to Teams missed activity emails directly within Outlook clients. And so those last two bring some. I don't know if that's on your favorites list, but
Oh yeah.
for the other four, I guess on the top there, where we're sharing back and forth from email into Teams and then Teams into email, it's great functionality. I
Mm.
love it to be able to say, "Hey, this conversation is going on in Teams in email. Can you please join in
Mm.
or whatever? Add this to I don't know if you want to bring it out of Teams, but then bringing conversation into Teams, I think is, hey, I just received this email from the client. Let's discuss it."
Mm.
Stuff like that. I think I'm definitely going to use it that way.
We
So,
we can share email into Teams today,
hmm,
and I know that
yeah.
if you read that line, you might think, oh, there's nothing new to that. We can grab a channel email address and drop something in, but
Hmm.
I I like that for the one-off sharing, but I see even with our own team, some people misuse that and they will drop
Hmm.
that
That's
email
right.
address into the CC, and then it
Yes.
creates a new message for every single reply. So I think this
Yeah.
is more about making it easier from within Outlook to push that message to the appropriate location in Teams. I'm
Agreed.
really interested to see what that looks like. I probably need to watch an Ignite video about that.
I think I agree with you. I've had that same issue where you CC, you start, oh, this has to do with that, and of course, okay, we'll need to add that email in. It's like, no, I've already got the email. I don't need Teams to have it as well. So you have, conversation, every single, reply in there. So I think this will help with that work flow, that flow of work.
One day that might actually thread.
Yeah, maybe. I think that there might be some. I can understand the difficulty of having that
Yeah,
threading, especially if
yeah.
you don't want it to thread. But what I'd really like, that brings me to the comment of in Teams, I would really like to thread a message once it's been added and not in a thread. Like thread it or not, or unthread it. But anyway, that's
All these
wish list.
sewing analogies. It's
Yeah,
just
that's right.
so we can see we can send email to Teams. We can send emails from Teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like we're having that conversation, as you said, you've just explained earlier. Here's a copy for someone who's not part of the team that
Hmm.
will be benefit from that. But the reply to Teams missed activity emails and responds to Teams activity emails. They're kind of
Hmm.
one and the same, or together.
Right.
That was a pretty cool demo too. Tried to add that as a GIF. I think I left it in there in the post. Um,
Yep, you did.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're seeing a missed email, and look, this is another thing that's difficult for those of us. You know, we might have missed a chat or something. You probably get 5 or 10 of these a day, and so you become accustomed to them and accustomed to ignoring them. Uh, and so you really you kind of just go into Teams and then check stuff when you need to, or if you've
Hmm.
missed it. But what I don't like about the current missed email is that if I'm reading it in my let's come in here, mobile, and you can see part of it. The trick that you don't realize this, but the email format is if you flip it around and your phone shows it landscape, you'll actually see more of that missed text, but it's still quite limited. Now, I'm not suggesting that we're going to be able to reply to missed emails within that email on your phone,
Right.
but well, maybe, I don't know, if it's driven by the email address and you just reply to that message, then maybe you can add to that thread. What do you see there, Daniel?
I think that's kind of the sweet spot where I would want it to be, right? Is
Mm,
if you could reply from that to be able to say, I want to reply to this message.
mm.
If it's one message, just reply to the email. I don't know. I hope that it works that well. I hope it's fluid that way.
It's funny,
See how?
hey, like Yammer fought so hard to get excuse or get rid of this ability because they were not getting as many people into the platform because people were
Right.
interacting almost entirely from email and participating in Yammer threads from that. So
Right.
they gradually uh, eased that out, and now we're seeing Teams ease this kind of functionality in. Um,
Right.
Interesting, very interesting.
Hmm.
So
Right.
those are my two favorites as well. But yeah, looking forward to seeing that starting in mid-January, complete the rollout in early February, and it'd be interesting to hear what people have to say about that and how it improves their communication.
I agree.
Um, we have retention labels,
Hmm.
proof of disposal records, disposal for records, MC 198154. Uh,
Yeah, and it's basically so if you're using labels to declare items as record, you'll be able to see those labels in the disposition tab in the records management. So I like that to be able to actually see those labels. And I'd like to get some feedback for. I don't use retention labels all the time. I would like to see some feedback on those that do. Part of the community and part of Regarding 365. I know we have some that do as well. So I like to see some feedback on that. But it is more insight to the way this is being used. I think is way better than not being able to tell what's going on.
yeah, it's all about chain of custody for a record in this case, isn't
Yep.
it? To say that I haven't interfered with a record, and then at this end of the life cycle, here I have disposed of the record. Here's the receipt for that,
Hmm.
and being attached to the retention label means that it's easier to organise.
That's right.
Right. I know that yeah, Joe would this would definitely be her Joanne Klein.
Oh yeah.
She'd be all over this.
Hmm.
She's probably there's a blog post probably out there now already, so go check out her blog. Finishing off with an updated feature of new account management experience within Microsoft 365's Admin Center.
Hmm.
So an update to the Admin Center. Hey,
Yay.
um, the new experience. I think we might actually find it here in
Yeah,
additional
this
information.
this is all about the when you go to view account in the link in the Office portal header, you'll be redirected to this, the new experience. And I feel like we've talked a little bit about this before that it was coming, but being able to give that, I like the tighter integration in that before it was a separate landing spot.
Mm.
And it really wasn't. I felt like it was different. I felt like it was more like Office.com, not the Office 365 part, but what your consumer side.
Mm.
And so this is being able to really get, it's a different look and feel, but give you that combined Azure Active Directory account experience for you. So,
I'm going to correct myself, Daniel. This is not
oh,
the admin center
no. It's
update. This
the,
is your experience of
that's right.
administering your account.
It's the admin center for you. So it's you administering
Yeah,
yourself,
yeah.
administering yourself. Um, anyway, it's resetting password, that kind of stuff, entering your security information, stuff like that.
Yeah, and entering security information. That's going to
Hmm.
be a popular one as more organizations are implementing multi-factor authentication.
MFA, yeah.
This is one place that you can go and manage that process, potentially even enroll. But the short link too, if you're familiar with that, aka.ms/MFA setup is
Hmm.
often where people get sent to go and enroll and set up their devices. But yeah, that's the updated experience. Very card-like,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
definitely a good experience. So that brings us to the end of our messages, and
Hmm.
we coming to summertime here in New Zealand, and this southern hemisphere. I wonder, did I try and cover you while you were having your holidays? Is Daniel going to
I
try
think
and push
so.
on through and maybe do a message center episode or two on his own? Did I drop you in on it?
Stay tuned to find out.
Let's have a family conversation with all our followers and our
Make sure,
audience.
right?
This is an open table discussion.
Is
Let
it
us
now?
know if you want Daniel to do an additional episode.
I think what we need to do is we need people to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as subscribe to the audio podcast at messagecenter.show. And then once they do subscribe, then they'll automatically get those alerts, whether it's the video or audio, get those alerts of our show happening.
Yeah, so we'll take the recording here from Periscope and
Mhm.
drop it in our YouTube channel, so you'll find the delayed coverage there.
Mhm.
Sorry again to those of you who have had to switch for the fourth week in a row.
Uh,
I thought I'd got to the bottom of it, but let's not use this as a time to complain about YouTube again. Have a great week, and we'll see you again on the next show. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.